Let's do a warm-up and a dynamic stretch. Swing the arms up, reach wide, bending the knees. And a side bend, reaching your arm over to the side. Keep the hips nice and still, stretch the side of the body, lengthening. Stretch and lengthen. This time reach up towards the ceiling and bending your knee, stretch the obliques. Bend your knee on the same side as your arm reaches up to the ceiling. Stretch the abdominal. Twisting to open the chest. Rotate the chest and step out and back. And swinging the arms, alternating. You can imagine you're brushing your hair. Big wide movement, stepping out to the side. And opening the chest. Flowing arm movements, even in the warm-up. Keep stepping to keep your heart going. And the arms flow up and down. Sliding the hips side to side. Stretching the side of the body, keeping your tummy in as you slide. And now the chest, keeping the hips still. Lock your abs and your glutes. Keep the knees slightly unlocked. Bending and swinging. Look back as the arm goes back to stretch the neck. And the other side. This time we can do 4 directions. Back, side, forward, side. Keep your torso in one big piece, bending at the hips and leaning back with the hips. 4 directions in a diamond, and changing. Smooth out the diamond, keep that torso in one piece. Circling now, opening out the hip joint. Bend the knees and then up onto the toes. It helps to pull your tummy muscles in as you do this. Alternating one heel and then the other. And now we're circling around the ball of the foot, from the big toe side to the little toe. This circles the ankle. Make sure you do both directions. dance posture, you'll want to broaden across the collarbone, draw the shoulder blades behind you and open the chest. Contracting in the abdominals supports the lower back. If you imagine there's a weight on the end of your tailbone dropping down towards the floor, making the hips nice and heavy. Using the glutes helps you to manipulate the hips up and down, and if you unlock the knees, you'll be able to relax in your lower spine. Let's work on some strength exercises. We're going to start off with the shoulders. If you contract and draw the shoulders back behind you, and release. Rotate the tops of the arms and draw the shoulder blades back, pressing the chest and the sternum forward. Open the chest and open your heart. To strengthen the glutes and the legs, let's do some squats. Try and go as low as you can. Strong legs are very important for belly dance. Keep going, keep squeezing. Let's do the abdominals. If you just bring your fingers in towards your hip bones at the front and then 1 inch towards the tummy in the centre. Contracting, broadening, flattening the abdominals back towards the spine and then releasing completely. Before you start moving the hips, we need to isolate the buttocks. We're going to start doing this by alternating, squeezing and releasing one side and then the other side. You may not be able to do this at first, but with practice you'll be able to isolate each side and that will support your pelvis in your hip work. Squeeze and release. See if you can isolate one side. Your legs are relaxed, knees are unlocked. Alternating. If you can't separate the sides, squeeze both and you can put your hands on them. Gradually with practice you'll be able to alternate easily. One side, then the other, alternating. Now at the knees, bending the knees and squeezing the glute as you straighten the leg. Squeeze, squeeze, bend, straighten. Squeeze left, squeeze right. Keep your feet flat on the floor, and when you're ready you can take your feet off in a little march. Squeeze, squeeze, bend, straighten. Add some arms, reaching up. Keeping the beat with the hips. You can travel with this now. Step forward for 4. And back. Make sure your hips are heavy and your knees are bending. You're not hitching up too high. Try travelling to the side. 4 counts to the right. forward to the left. Back to basic now, feet are flat, knees are bent, squeezing and alternating. Cut! Let's do some chest isolations. We're going to start by sliding the chest out to the side, so release your knees and make sure your tailbone is dropping down towards the floor. Sliding to the side, and then imagine a string is pulling you forward from the front of the sternum and then back through the spine. When we join these dots together, all 4 points, we get a circle. Make sure your knees are unlocked, and the other way, isolating the chest. Let's do some repetitions. Sliding from side to side, release your knees. And imagine a string is pulling you from your lowest rib, from one side to the other. As you come forward, imagine someone's prodding you in the back and a string is pulling your sternum forwards, like a ship's figurehead, releasing the knees and the tailbone. And now all 4 directions. Forward, side, back, side. Stretching the spine, releasing the knees. Smooth out the 4 points of the diamond. Creating a circle as you come round. Cave your chest in a little bit as you come to the back and change direction. This time we're going to try a circle the other way round. So we've done one this way round, and this time we'll be going this way round, which is a chest camel. So let's break that down. You're going to bring your chest down, then come forward, lift up, come in and down. So that's down, forward, lift up, come in and down. Forward, up, in and down. Just bring one foot in front of the other. Forward, up, in and down. Let's try some repetitions. The Egyptian camel is from the rib cage down, so it's much more with the abdominals and the hips and pelvis. You'll need to bend your knees for this one, bringing one foot in front of the other, and also pulling the tummy muscles in as we did earlier with the strength exercises. So contracting and pulling in and releasing, contracting and pulling in and releasing. Let's try some repetitions. Draw the abdominals in and keep the knees bent. Imagine you're drawing a circle sideways on in the mirror. Pulling the tummy muscles in. Feeling the undulation through the spine. And hand sideways on, you can see the movement more clearly. Repeating for 2 and changing direction. 4 counts. Release the chest. And reverse. As you reverse, imagine that you're tucking underneath a fence and then up and over. So tuck underneath and up and over the fence. Really use your tummy muscles to tuck underneath and then up and over using your knees, straightening up in the legs. Pull in the abdominals. Make sure your lower back doesn't arch too much. Keep that tailbone nice and heavy. And release in the spine so you have a flowing movement. With the hand position, you want your middle finger to move towards your thumb, as if you're wearing finger symbols. Allow the wrist to drop down towards the floor and relax the arm and fingers, and then just open across the chest. Imagine you're dropping your hand into a paint pot and then painting with the back of the hand, and then gently changing one side and then the other. Shoulder draws down, then elbow comes up, then the wrist comes down. Nice flowing movement. Let's try this with the other arm. Hand drops down into the paint pot, shoulder, elbow, wrist. Fingers are alive and flowing. Let your body follow your arm. And then both together. Alternating the arms, make sure you stretch through the chest, leading with the shoulder and then the elbow, then the wrist. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. Shoulder, elbow, wrist. Imagine your arms begin in the center of your chest and really stretch from the center. Let the chest slide from side to side. You can imagine you're in water. The arms are flowing, fingers are energized. Whole body is flowing and the arms follow. You can lean back and release from the spine. Painting with the hands. Allow the body to move in a camel. Let your body do what it wants to do. You can allow your hips to move a little bit with the hands, and the hands to frame the hips. For flexibility and strength in your hand and your fingers, you might want to try this exercise called the caterpillar. If you cup your hand and bring the fingers towards the wrist, and then just move it along, moving through the finger joints and through the joints of the hand, without moving the elbow or the wrist. Make sure the fingers and the hand are moving and not the elbow or the wrist, so that you can isolate your flexibility into the hand. Once you've worked with the caterpillar for a while and have developed some strength and flexibility in your hands, you can try another movement. Imagine your hands inside a glass jar and you're just reaching around the inside, pressing your fingers onto the inside of the jar. Make sure you're moving your fingers and your wrist and keeping the elbow still. Turning the hands and scooping in a spiral as you come down. Imagine the spirals as you come down, relaxing the body, allowing it to respond to your hand movement, and alternating. You may find that you do some camels naturally with the hand spirals. Keep them wide. Let the fingers really stretch out, reaching forward with the knuckles as you come round. Make sure your elbow is still on your shoulder. Again, you're flowing through water. Curling and opening the fingers, keeping them nice and straight. Let's do some hip drops. Bring all your weight into your right leg and the left leg comes forward with the heel off. Make sure that all your weight is on that right leg so you can take your toes off on the left foot. Now we're going to squeeze the bottom to lift the hip and drop it down again. Squeeze to lift, tummy in and drop it down. Keep the chest open. Squeeze and drop. As you squeeze and drop, when you bring it back in line, the right side comes up. So squeeze left, squeeze right. Squeeze left, squeeze right. Left side, right. Left side and right, keeping the chest open. Let's try some repetitions. Squeeze the left side and squeeze the right to drop. Right buttock squeezes to drop down, left to lift, right to drop. Keep both knees bent, particularly the standing leg where your weight is. Make sure you don't lock that leg so you have plenty of movement. The pelvis can move from side to side. And the heel stays up. You can imagine you've got a high heel on. Keeping the chest lifted. The rest of the body's nice and still to show off the hip. And just bring your hand to the hip that's moving so you can feel the movement in the pelvis, making sure it's going directly out to the side and not forward or back, like a seesaw. If you had a pencil on your hip, you'd be drawing a vertical line up and down to the side wall. Doubles. 1, 2, change, 1, 2. 1, 2, and diagonally onto the mirror. Stepping back, 2 and travelling. 1, 2, step back with the same leg. Forward, 2, step forward. 1, single and double. 1, 1, 2, and 1, 2. You can begin to add the arms when you get confident. One hand behind the head and the other arm low towards the hip. Remember, this is like an internal movement and the hips are moving down towards the floor rather than out to the side. Squeezing your glutes. Now let's do the reverse of a hip drop, which is a hip lift. This time the hip comes up on the beat, so the emphasis is on the lift, on the up. Let's do some repetitions. Squeeze to lift on the left buttock, keeping your left heel off the floor. Both knees are bending, and the standing leg stays bent to give you lots of movement in your pelvis. Remember, the action is directly up rather than out to the side. Keeping your high heel on nice and high. And lifting on the beat. Bend to straight with the standing leg, but not locking the knees. Use your buttocks to really control the movement rather than your knees. Double. 1, 2, 1, 2. this is step toe. Step and then toe. Lifting the hip up as you step forward with the toe and the heel off. Step toe, step toe. Squeezing the buttock as you press the toe and the ball of the foot down into the floor. Once you get confident, you can add arm variations, bringing the arms behind the head. Let's try a twist. Take your heel off and just lean back, bending your knee, twisting back, squeeze your bottom to come forward, squeezing the right side. Imagine you're sitting back onto a bar stool and then squeezing your bottom to come forward, twisting the side of the hip. Let's do some repetitions. Squeeze the buttock and sit back as though you're sitting back onto a bar stool. And then twist the hip forward. Make sure you're twisting the whole of the pelvis, keeping the heel off the floor. Twisting from down to up in a diagonal. This is a great movement if you have lots of beaded fringe. As you can see, it flies over from the back to the front. You're separating your hips from your chest, so the chest does twist a little bit, but the emphasis is on the hips. And now we're pivoting round, so one foot stays on the floor and the other one steps around it. Twist step, twist step. Don't forget to drop back each time, sitting back, and then squeezing up. Let's try a figure of eight. Figure eight is a combination of a circle and a twist. Let's just revise the circle we did in the warm-up. Bringing the hips forward, side, back and to the side, keeping the chest and the hips connected in one big chunk. The whole of the torso is moving in one piece. Sliding the hips to the side and then the other side. Imagine you have a string pulling your hip out to the side and then to the other side. Stretching the muscles on the side of the abdomen, the obliques. Then if you add the twist, twisting forward, sliding round. Twisting to the front, sliding round. Twist and slide. One loop goes around one foot and one loop goes around the other in a figure of eight. It's an 8 lying on its side like an infinity sign. One loop around one foot, one around the other. Let's try some repetitions. So remember, you're bending from the hips and the torso is in one big piece. Keep your spine nice and straight. You can bend your knees a little bit. Let's try a shimmy. You need to relax your body all the way from the top of the head down to the heels, feeling your heels pressing down into the floor with the weight of the body. Relax your knees and unlock them. And then imagine your pelvis is like a bowl of water and your legs are like the stand on the bowl of the water, just slightly moving it from side to side. We're going to relax the legs and let the knees drop down, staying heavy through the body, alternating one knee and then the other knee. Feeling really relaxed, particularly in the lower back. Once you've got that going, you can start to speed it up a little bit. Still relaxing through the legs and spine, opening up in the upper body. And when you've got it going for a while, you can kick into a shimmy. It feels a little bit like a shiver or shivery legs. Nice fast movement, creating a shiver through the body, particularly with the hips, keeping the hips nice and loose in the hip sockets. We can also do a shimmy with the upper body. For this, you're going to need to bring one shoulder back and one forward, alternating and rotating from the chest. Make sure your hands stay in one place ahead of you, so the hands don't move. You can imagine you're moving your shoulders back, rubbing your shoulders on a rug behind you, and then coming forward. Make sure the shoulders are relaxed and they're not tense. Coming forward, and again speeding up. Keeping the hands nice and relaxed. Forward and back. Let's try some repetitions with the hips. Start nice and slow and make sure the whole of your body is relaxed. Your body should feel heavy. And your hips are heavy. Alternating the knees and then a little bit faster. When you start shimmying, it feels like a shiver. Might help to move the pelvis around a little bit. Once you're into your shimmy, you can experiment with arms, reaching the arms out. Keeping your shimmy going. Keep the energy going through the knees and up into the toes. Onto the toes and down, bending the knees. Try a one-leg shimmy. To feel the shimmy going up the side of the body, reaching up with the arms. Staying relaxed and alternating the backs of the knees. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You can try sliding your hips. So you're layering a shimmy over a slide now. This time we're shoulder shimmying, alternating the shoulders back and forth. Imagine that you're rubbing your back on a rug, releasing the front of the body, nice and relaxed so the shoulders don't get tense. Rub the shoulders back, release the arms. See if you can keep your hands in a similar place each time. You can try this stepping around in a square. In combination number 1, we're going to start with moving the arms in a snaky arms movement. Starting with the right arm, 4 times, and then to the left 4 times. We're going to then alternate for 8 counts. Hands on hips for knee drops, 8 counts, and then walking forwards for 4, back for 4 repeating, and out to the side for 4 hits on each side. In combination number 2, we're going to work on hand and hip coordination. We're going to start off by circling the hand 4 times and changing sides 4 times. Then we'll be doing some hip drops 4 times and over to the other side 4 times. Both of these together and the other side, and then let's step back with a double drop and forward. combination number 3, we're going to combine figure of 8 and a circle and also a lift walk. So let's start off with the circle, coming forward and round for 4 counts to the right. And then to the other side, 4 counts. Then we're going to do a lift walk, so lift the hip, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Come back, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now figure of 8, step out to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 step, in, 2, 3, 4 step, side, 2, 3, 4 step, in, 2, 3 and 4. In combination number 4, we're going to put together some side hits, chest camels, a pivoting twist and a little shimmy. Starting off with side hits for 2, changing sides, repeating, and then a chest camel for 2 and repeating. Then we're going to come round with a twist for 8 counts. And on the 8th count, heels come off and shimmy down, reversing. Heels come off and shimmy down. Let's put these combinations together for a performance. down and a static stretch. Bring your arm in front, stretching across the shoulder, and change. And change into the triceps, hand between the shoulders. Just bring your hand down between the shoulder blades, down the spine. And change arms. And now reach the arms up, bring them back behind you, shoulder blades towards each other at the back, and then the elbows as if they're about to touch, bringing them together. Now bring your hands together and interlace the fingers and lengthen your arms away, opening across the front of the chest and the pecs. Tummy in, lengthen the arms away, stretch away. And now just widen your stance, bring the arm up, lengthen across the side, big stretch, and then come down to the feet. Drop your head here, release the neck, and center. If you can't touch the floor, you can bring your arms up higher, or you can bend your knees. And over to the side. Come up here, and a side bend on this side, over to the side, drop the head, come center, over to the side, and come up. Just to make sure we've stretched out the lower back, come into a plie position with the knees bent over your feet. Reaching up to the side, come forward, and over to the other side. This is a deeper stretch for the side of the erector spinae muscles on the side of the lumbar spine. Coming forward, side, and coming up. While we're down here, let's stretch the inner thighs. Lengthening away, leaning forwards, and just bend your knees, and now round the spine as you come up, and come forward, round the spine, pull the tummy in, and come forward, round. And one more time, tummy in, round the spine. Feet together now, let's just do a quad stretch. Bring the heel up towards your bottom. You can put your arm out to your side if you want to balance better. And change. Heel up to the bottom, tummy in, shoulders open. And down you come, calf stretch, stepping forward, reach back with the heel, both feet are in line, bring your hips forward, just make sure your knee doesn't go beyond your foot, press back into that heel, stretching through the calf, and change to the other side, pressing back and lengthening away through the heel, bring the hips forward, pressing back. And now let's come down to the floor. So we're going to do a couple of deeper stretches here. You're going to cross your leg over. And now you're going to hug your knee in. So it's slightly different to the yoga stretch where you twist in this position. Hug the knee in, tight towards the chest. Hug and hold. If you like now, you can twist the spine, lengthening up through the top of the head. And release. Let's do the other side. This opens up the hips and the iliotibial band. Stretching and opening to make sure we don't get too tight here. Hug the knee in towards the chest. Keep the spine nice and straight, lengthen through the top of the head. Hug your knee in. And twist the spine, lengthening through the top of the head. And come back centre. Last stretch, cross your legs. You might want to sit on a cushion. You're going to come forward, just walk the hands forward. Doesn't matter if you can't get too far. Go to a position where you can keep your tailbone on the floor. Walking the hands forward, lengthening through the lower back. If you have any trouble with your knees, you're going to put cushions under your knees, or don't do this exercise. Drop the head. Reach the arms forward. Feel the length in the spine. Relax in the neck. Reach the fingers. And let's walk the hands back. Over to one side. Stretch and reach. Drop the head. And then over to the other side. Stretch and reach. Drop the head. And we're going to repeat this, changing the crossing of the legs. Let's change your crossing over. This is probably your slightly stiffer side, so go a bit easier now. Reaching forward. Drop the head. Allow the hip to open. Releasing the lower back and spine. Breathing nice and deeply. And walking the hands up, we're going to cross over to one side, crossing over, lengthening through the side, opening up in the hip. Dropping your head down, release the neck. And let's go over to the other side, last side. Keeping the tailbone down on the floor. Reach the arms away, drop the head. Let's come back to centre, sitting up nice and straight. Nice deep breath in. Well done.